Hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day it is. I feel like I say that a lot. Welcome back to Project Ruby. I had to take a little bit of a break because I was feeling a little bit... burnt out on the project. Due to the drill transport, which... That's a topic for another day. I do know what I'm doing with that, but it's gonna be a while. Welcome. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Let me just kind of explain a little bit of the problem that I ran into. When it comes to the elemental powers. I kind of have it laid out in the description, so if you want to jump ahead, feel free. This is something I wanted to live stream last week, actually, but didn't get a chance to. Plus, I was doing the Wither Storm, so that was fun. But basically, I took some time off from the project, because I have been going at this project for like 6 months straight, basically. So I took a bit of a break to just kind of reevaluate the project, where it's going, how it's going, what are some things that need improved. And right now, what I have on screen, this is a Google document. I know it's not MCreator yet, but this is a Google document. What you're seeing on screen, let me see if I can't zoom in for you guys. It might be a little bit too much. What you're seeing on screen is the current working, may I add you, it's fully programmed and operational. This is the current setup for the elemental powers, and we'll kind of go through each of these one by one without going into too much detail, but long story short, there is one aspect that all of these have, that all of the elemental powers have currently, that needs to be changed. And specifically, this. Really zoom in so you guys can see it. This. Damage increase. The element of fire alone has 3 instances where the player's attack damage increases, and this isn't even the worst. Earth has more, including some in the base. Earth is quite a bit. And oh no, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. So you might be wondering, like, Sam, why is this a big deal? Why is this a problem that you are addressing? Well, it's because with the current system, attack damage is not very important. Well, I say not very important, but what am I saying? I need to think. How to put this? Attack damage is something that I would like to transfer to a different mechanic, specifically weapons. I had a look back at the current layout of the project and kind of get an idea on what it's lacking. And I think it's lacking in 2 departments. The first, which is the elemental powers, don't feel super strong right now. They don't feel like they're a necessity. If anything, in some cases, they're a hindrance. And we'll get to that later. Or not, depends. I'm looking at Earth specifically, so I guess now is later. But anyway. The elemental powers need a major rework. They do. They're absolutely horrible. In case of, I mean, fire's a great example. Like, this mechanic here, if you're on fire or in a heated biome, makes sense for the elemental powers. Because it's like you embody fire, so you should have bonus perks if you're in a heated area or if you're on fire. But the problem with this is this limits fire greatly to when it can be used and where it can be used, which is not what I wanted from the beginning. I wanted you to be able to use, for the most part, any element in any location, give or take some exceptions with the extreme heats and extreme cold zones, and also smoke hazards and the different hazards that we have currently in the game. But other than that, this just kind of makes it so fire is completely unusable. Because these attack bonuses are crucial for the player overall progression. And it's not until level 6 that this problem goes away. This is horrible. Why did I think this was a good idea? I don't know. So we need to rework the elemental powers. And in the past, like, 2, maybe 3 weeks, I have been doing just that. So this is the current scaling. And that's just fire. Water's even worse. Water, basically the build, because you get extra range on top of extra damage, you're basically just like forced, if you wanted to use water, just jump in a river and then just laugh at the mobs because they have to come to you now. And then you basically just can't die. It's stupid. And I can't believe I let it slide for as long as I did. Ice currently is the most overpowered of the elements. And even then, according to this line right here, it's also location specific, and that's not what I want with these powers. I mean, ice makes sense, location specific, but that's not exactly what I wanted from from the elemental powers. So we're gonna do some reworking with this, and I already I just showed you a sneak peek. I already have. Wind is also horrible as of this point in time. Well, it's not actually. Wind, I think, is actually probably the least horrible at this point in time out of all 5 of them so far. But even then. So we are. So this is the old. This grayed out text. This is the old. This is the new, which is what we're going to be working on today. We're going to be working on fire. I would like to get fire working. Automatically, you can see some immediate changes. For one, you can use it, you get bonus perks, not increased attack damage, health bonus this time around. I couldn't give the player strength because I wanted to remove any and all just straight up damage buffs. I didn't want the player's increased damage to come from the elemental powers anymore. I want it to come from a weapons system that I have in mind, which I'll explain in greater details in a future stream. But for the time being, just know that I want to add custom weapons with some interesting properties. And the biggest mechanic is to just increase the player's damage at a more controlled rate. Because right now, with the elemental powers, it's essentially, the player's damage output is essentially randomized, and it's worse, and it gets worse the further into the game you go. I think it's worse around mid-game, when you don't have everything up to level 10. It's worse around mid-game, because depending on what you pick as your element, your attack damage can be as much as +8, or as little as, like, +6. I think fire also has fire also has +6. So your damage output can limit, or can drastically vary depending on what element you choose to level up and when. And originally I was planning on solving this problem with environmental hazards, but that's not enough. So that's one thing that I wanted to change. I wanted to remove any and all damage buffs from the elemental powers. I do like the idea of increased attack damage in some cases, which we will see with fire and with water, and probably ice, I think, as well. Yeah. But as far as attack damage goes, I wanted to remove attack damage entirely. Second thing I wanted to change is I wanted to give more of a in-depth feel to each specific level. Currently, this kind of just looks very flat. Like, each level, I mean, you look at Earth, each level only just does one thing. And sometimes it's just removing a curse that this already gives you, which is not the greatest thing. It only does like one thing at a time. So I wanted each individual level to grant more than one thing, and I had a hard time doing that. So what I did in the design choices is I gave each elemental power like 1 or 2 unique things, not 1 or 2, 4 or 5 unique things, unique mechanics, whether it's like lighting mobs on fire or bonus perks in locations or something like that, and then gave it to the player. I gave multiple of these bonus things to the player at one time, and then as the elements leveled up, those perks, I guess you could say, level up. And I guess fire is a good example of this. So level 1 previously grants +2 damage to all attacks if you are on fire or in a heated biome. This last bit is being changed. The on fire specifically just doesn't work for me because that just isn't very good. If you're on like a beach level, and well, if you're on a beach level, you're probably using water. But if you're on a beach level and you need fire for whatever reason, this basically just means that like you have to jump into a campfire or something that can set you on fire, and that's not what I wanted with the elemental powers. I didn't want you to have to go to something, jump in like a hot tub, and get perks that way. So we'll address it later. Element of fire now grants a chance as opposed to 100% uptime on fire aspect. The time duration is the same, 3 seconds, with melee attacks. The default is going to be 20% chance. That's 1 in 5 hits. That's not a lot, but it still is extra damage to opponents at random intervals. And that's another thing I wanted to implement a little bit more so, is randomization to your attacks and to just overall buffs in general. And we'll kind of get to that a little bit later with the element of earth changes. Level 2 grants a health boost while in a heated biome, or instead of being on fire, I made it so it's under the sun. Well, I say that as if I have right now. I've reworked it. I've rewritten it so it's under the sun instead. So as long as you have sky access, and I did test this, so even if you're like under leaves or a transparent block, like glass, you can still get this perk. So as long as you are under the sun or in a heated biome, they don't stack. The usage of the word "or" here is important. And you get plus 20% health. So with the player's default health of 10 hearts, that bumps it up to 12, which isn't much, but it still helps. It still helps and encourages the player to use fire when these conditions are available. Heated biome, and then under the sun. This is a lot more general than just going to a specific block. Say like, oh, there's a fire block over there. let me go jump into the flames and just let the mobs come to me. No. This means that you basically have the ability to go to the mobs themselves. And I imagine in a lot of cases, you'll either have sky access, or in the case of the heated biomes, most of the heated biomes are at night, so I can't even think of a time when both of these would be applied. But it is what it is. So that's plus 20% health. And when the player receives the health bonus later into the game, because I do plan on doubling the player's health, this doesn't change, but the amount that you receive adjusts with the increased health. Level 3, abilities are not changing. So 3, 5, and 8 are all staying the same. And I think that's very important because I like how the abilities scale with the elemental powers currently, and I wouldn't want to change it. Level 4 is where the lighting mobs on fire starts to shine. Grants extra damage to mobs that are on fire. And the default damage multiplier is 1.25, so plus 25% of your attack damage is added onto your attack damage in the event that you are striking a mob that's on fire. Level 4 makes level 1 and also later levels that increase the duration and the chance much more significant. So level 4 is a lot more powerful as opposed to just granting extra damage if you're in the biome conditions. This also gives Fire Aspect a lot more power to it, because Fire Aspect on its own, like, although yes, it sounds good in Minecraft, it's not really that good. It's only 1 tick of damage per, like, every other second or so, I think. You're only taking one damage per half second, or per every other second. That's half a damage point every second, basically. I think. I could totally be wrong. I think it's actually full second now that I think about it. But anyway, it's still not very great on its own, but with the extra damage now, which is something we're gonna have to implement, it makes things a lot more, it makes lighting mobs on fire a lot more interesting. Because if you're fighting a horde and then one of them suddenly gets light on fire, you want to target that mob to maximize this. This isn't much, but it scales with, or it adds up if your opponent's got a lot of HP. I'm hoping this makes fire better in the context of bosses, because right now, the element of ice is the only element that I've been able to defeat the Supreme Blaster Tank with, and it's because of the damage buffs that it has. Ice has some pretty crazy damage buffs, and I'm assuming if I give that damage buff to other elemental powers in the form of environmental bonuses, or not environmental bonuses, on hit chances, then that's great. That is great. Level 5, we already talked about. Level 6 is a major level, and I've talked about this in my last Elemental Power Showcase video, but basically, I wanted level 6 to be extra enticing. The idea is that when the player goes in, and they're closing in on what the player believes is the final chapter, and the final sections of the map, they're gonna have about 20 skill points, or experience points, to work with. And that means they can take level 5 pretty comfortably in every element and be fine. Or they can risk it and take level 6 and beyond, but at the cost of not being able to take levels into some of the other elements. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, the player will be able to maximize everything, all 10 levels. But level 6 is just to act as extra incentive. It also serves another purpose, with level 6 being extra good. But for the time being, I'd rather not talk about that. But anyway, let's go over it. Increased burn duration. So this goes back to level 1. The burn duration was set to 3 seconds, as seen here. I have it kind of like highlighted on the side, or separated on the side, the specifics. What it was, and then what it's increasing to. Your health bonus is going up. And the chance to light mobs on fire also goes up. So, again, these are all just kind of like numbers that these are placeholder numbers. Numbers that I think will work well for what I want the powers to be. So, yeah, burn duration much higher, or burn duration's higher. That means you'll be able to get like an extra, maybe 1 or 2 hits off, which on top of the damage multiplier, that adds up. Your health bonus increases to 25%, which I think that's 12.5 hearts, if I'm not mistaken, when the player has just 10 hearts, and then I think that's like 8 hearts total. Once the player receives the health boost, which that is actually huge. I think this is the last time that the health boost applies, so I think this is the max. Then the fire aspect chance, it's going up from 20% chance to 50%. So this is 1 in 5 hits. That's 1 in 2 hits, which is pretty ridiculous. Later it goes up to 100% chance uptime. Level 7's also extra spicy. Increases the extra damage to mobs that are on fire. So that goes from the 25 up here to 1.5. For context, this is the damage multiplier of a player critical hit. So this basically just gives you the ability to crit, which we'll talk about critical hits a little bit later, but basically, I have the ability to manipulate critical hits now. I learned of some secret tech, some advanced tech actually, that MCreator has built in, and it's pretty cool. Level 8 is the same. Level 9, health now regenerates while in extreme heat biomes or under the sun. So not only are you getting the health bonus while in those biomes, but you're also getting health regeneration. Now beforehand, when the player was in these conditions, they would receive increased attack damage. Considering the nature of fire, I wanted being in these heated areas to have some sort of effect to the elemental power's strength, but I couldn't figure out a way to do that. So I took a step back and thought, okay, what if instead of offensive, we give them extra defense? And damage reduction didn't make sense for fire, so increase health bonus. And now your health regenerates. This is probably just going to be regeneration 1, which I don't know why I don't have that in here. +1 regeneration. Probably spelled wrong. No, it's not. Yay! First try. And then level 10, the increased burn duration, chance to light mobs on fire, extra damage to mobs that are on fire. All 3 of these leveling up, just like level 6, except the extra damage is in here instead of the health bonus being in here. Burn duration at max goes to 8 seconds. That's pretty crazy. Fire aspect chance is now 100% uptime. And the damage multiplier goes from 1.5 to just flat out 2. That's times 2 damage on targets that are on fire, which, that's really great. And when it stacks with crit, that's going to be even more insane. So overall, I think with the way that the elemental powers, with the way that fire specifically, in this case, has been structured, I think it's a lot better than what it used to be. Just purely because of the fact that each level is now a little bit more in depth. There's more going on, there's more perks, more bonuses. It's not just like the bland, boring damage buffs. These are a little bit more interesting. And they scale a lot better with percentage chances. So I'm able to like flesh out these elemental levels a lot more efficiently. Moving on to Earth. Which, in order for Earth to make sense, we need to move up to the player's default stats. By default, the player will have 1 damage. That's not changing. I have found the ability to disable critical hits when the player strikes a mob. And so by default, I've decided that that critical hit is going to be disabled, and instead we're replacing it with a critical hit chance. Now, I'm still debating if critical hits should behave as normal, where if you strike a mob while falling, it initiates the hit, or if it should just be on any hit, so that way new players who are unfamiliar with Minecraft a little bit don't get left wondering, like, why the heck isn't this working? So I think it might be both. I think there might be some extra perk that I give the player if they're initiating it normally. Maybe like an increased damage multiplier, or maybe increased hit chance. I don't know. Someone give me an idea in chat what you guys think about that, or in the comments below. I don't really care. And then we're lowering the damage multiplier. So vanilla Minecraft's damage multiplier is 1.5x. We're lowering it to 1.2, and there's a reason I'm doing that, is because I had a hard time figuring out what to do with Earth without while removing the damage, because that's Earth's main gimmick in version 1, is just increasing the attack damage, or attack speed, attack damage, more attack damage, more attack damage, starting with increased attack damage. It's crazy. Earth was designed to be the tank build that has high damage, high defense, low mobility. And that's how I designed Earth. And so I think I kind of got it to a point where I'm happy with it, but I'm not sure. We'll just go through here. So the elemental power grants knockback resistance, which is not something it did before, slowness, which is obviously a bad thing, and increased critical hit chance. Earth is the only element that grants the critical hit chance. The only way that you get increased critical hit is from weapons. Some weapons, depending on what type they are, will grant increased critical hit chance, while others will grant increased critical damage multiplier. Most weapons will grant both, but one will obviously be favored over the other. And I'm debating to give critical hits like other functionalities, like, oh, if you crit, then it lights the mob on fire. So that's like double rolling the dice, basically. Or something like that. I don't know. We can throw around ideas in the future. So yeah, level 1 grants increased critical hit chance and damage multiplier. The hit chance goes from plus 3% to plus 5, which the default is plus 3. And the multiplier adds 0.1. So at this point, at level 1, your damage multiplier goes to 1.3. And your hit chance goes to 3%. Now again, weapons are going to be adding on hit percent chance as well. And in a lot of cases, I think the best weapon in the game will probably add 100% critical hit chance. Second best being somewhere around 50%. I don't know. But weapons are going to have much higher increases of critical hit chance. Earth is just meant to just give you a slow start and then kicks up speed a little bit later. I think later. Yeah, it goes up to 20, I think. And then the multiplier goes up to plus 6, or plus 0.6. 0.6. Level 2 grants increased attack damage while underground. This is a environmental bonus. Originally, Earth did not have an environmental bonus. That was mainly fire, water, ice, and that's it. Fire, water, and ice had environmental bonuses. Well, yeah. What am I saying? Wind and Earth did not. And I was debating on including environmental bonus with Earth, but kind of didn't want to. For the same reason that I wanted Earth to be utilized everywhere, and this kind of issue was causing a problem. This kind of an issue I was running into with Earth, and I wanted Earth to be able to be used at all times effectively. So this time around, that's not Earth. We are increasing the player's base attack damage, but it's not by much. It's only +1 strength. Now, I need to go off to the side and look at the Minecraft wiki, because I'm pretty sure +1 strength is only like, what, 3% or +3 attack damage? Yeah, it's +3 attack damage times the level. So this is only just +3 attack damage, which isn't much, and it does go up to strength 2, so that'll be +6. But again, it's conditional. So you're encouraged to use Earth Underground when you can. In some cases, if you're underground and in a cave that's a heated biome, you can switch between Fire and Earth and get both of their perks independently. So multiple options is always great. So we can combine biomes to give the players multiple options, which is really nice. Level 3, we've already been over. Level 4, increased damage resistance and knockback resistance. Like I said earlier, Earth is the tank build. So +1 resistance, that is +20% damage reduction, which is great. Combine that with Fortify, which grants an additional level of resistance, and that's +40% damage reduction. That's almost half off all damage. So Earth is pretty powerful, especially with Fortify. That damage reduction is gonna go crazy. And then the knockback resistance, which isn't much, but I figured I'd just throw it in here just to make it seem like it's cool. It doesn't do much at all. I don't think there's a single enemy I have currently in the game that does knockback. I probably would want to change that in the future. Some bosses, maybe. Definitely bosses could have some knockback that you can negate. Level 5 we've been over. Level 6, the extra enticing level. Grants increased critical hit chance, damage multiplier, and it removes the slowness. So you have the slowness, just slowness 1, all the way up until level 6. And I think that's fair. Because before it was slowness 2, and then level 1, I think, removes the slowness, or no, level 2. Reduces the slowness by 1 level. So yeah, you used to have slowness 2. I think only just giving the player slowness 1 is enough. And I feel like no one is going to disagree with that. So yeah, you remove the slowness so you can move normally. At this point, yeah, it goes from 1 to 0. Percentage doubles from 5 to 10, which is good. That's 10% critical hit chance. That's 1 in 10 hits. The multiplier goes up from +0.1 to +0.3. So if we do the math with the extra damage, +0.3 puts it at 1.5, which is the normal critical hit damage multiplier. Which is pretty good. Which is very good. You don't have it 100% uptime, but it's pretty good. Level 7 grants further increased attack damage while underground. Again, this goes from +3 attack damage to +6 attack damage, but we're using the potion strength. Or the strength potion. I flipped it. We're using the strength potion instead, so I think that's much better. It's also easier to manage because we can just clear the effect. It's great. We do have to be careful with item buffs, though. We gotta remember that we're using the potion effect for item buffs. We'll get to that when we get there. Level 8, tier 3 abilities, nothing fancy. If you're unfamiliar with what the abilities do, I have a separate live stream where I kind of showcased version 1 of the powers and kind of explained what abilities are and how they work and what they do. Long story short, they're cool. And they scale with your elemental powers. So we've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They're really cool. So the same item scales based off of what your active element is at. So if Earth is at level 8 and you go to use heal, you get the greatest heal. But if you're using fire and you only have level 5, then you get not as great. It's the same item, but it's based on your active element, and it's really cool, and I like it. You should go check it out. Level 9. Further increased damage resistance and knockback resistance. So 40% damage reduction and a full knockback resistance point. Again, I'm not sure how useful knockback resistance is going to be. Oh, it's actually going to be really useful. The blaster tank, I forgot, has crazy knockback. That's actually, yeah, I didn't think of that before, but no, yeah, the blaster tank has crazy knockback. That's going to actually be useful. I didn't think about that, but, well, I'm glad I put it in here. And then level 10, further increased critical hit damage, or chance, and damage multiplier. Chance goes up to plus 20%, multiplier goes up to plus 0.6, which on top of that is 1.8 times damage. That's definitely greater than the vanilla crit. And on top of that, you can also get weapons that will further increase your damage multiplier. I think the max I want this to be is times 3, maybe times 4. I think that would actually be pretty insane. We'll see. We'll have to test some things. And that might actually be effective with the Supreme class enemies because they are super beefy. Goodness gracious me. So that's the element of Earth rework. Again, we've got our hands full when it comes to these elemental powers. We have a lot of things that need to be changed from the original. And we need to fix that. For those of you just joining us, and by us I mean mainly me, I'm kind of going over a proposed rework for the current elemental powers for this project that I've got going on. We've got fire, earth, water, ice, wind. They're all really cool. If you're unfamiliar with how those work, I do have a separate stream on this channel. Shouldn't be too difficult to find. We can watch that afterwards. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because we're reworking the old and bringing in the new. Kind of. That brings us to water. Water breathing hasn't changed. Increased swim speed hasn't changed. Cold immunity hasn't changed, although the cold immunity is ultimately pointless because water transforms into ice when in those cold biomes, so it's good to keep in mind. Water and fire are basically just a parody of each other. So level 1 grants a chance to short circuit basic mechanical mobs. So if you're facing off against a non-robot, this won't do anything. That's very important to know. This only works on robots, which fortunately, like 99% of the bestiary planned is going to be robots, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. But you short circuit for 3 seconds, 20% chance. It's just like fire, except obviously with a short circuit, which stuns the mobs periodically, I guess you could say. It keeps them from moving as effective, and I don't know. I forget. It does something else. I can't remember. I think it doesn't stop them from attacking. Maybe I'm thinking of ice. Anyway. Instead of the health bonus, we're just giving outright health regeneration. Level 2. While in water or rain. So the environmental conditions, they're okay. They work they need to work in general areas as opposed to specific block areas. Then water kind of falls away from that. My hope is by making it so this isn't attack damage, which is what it was back here. And the increased range as well. Range is getting removed. I'm removing range entirely from water, and I think it's on wind now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, +1 reach here. So that's been moved over to wind, thankfully. But the health regeneration, if it's raining, regeneration 1 isn't super strong, so I feel like I can comfortably slide this in here without worrying about it being too overpowered. Level 3 abilities, we've been over. 3, 5, and 8 have not changed. Abilities are still as they are, and they will stay that way for quite some time. It will take a lot to get me to change my mind on these 3 specific levels. Especially since abilities are currently working in-game, and I don't want to change them. Anyway. Increasing the chance to short-circuit mechanical mobs. And granting the ability to stun advanced. So, this kind of gives you an idea on when I'm expecting, or what level of skill or experience I'm expecting the player to be at by the time these types of enemies roll out. So obviously right out the gate, we're dealing with the basics. If you're unaware, this game has 4 categories of enemies, or 4 tiers. Basic, Advanced, Elite, and then Supreme. And they have increased stats in different models, and they look cool, and we've got other streams to show those off, but basically, long story short, this is kind of where I'm expecting the player to be, generally, when it comes to certain mob encounters. So, in the case of advanced mechanical mobs, which are tier 2, roughly around level 4. And I am expecting the player to be at level 4 on all elements to kind of just spread them out. You can hyper-focus on one. The choice is yours to make on what element you level up when you get an experience point. But yeah. This is what, if you're going well-rounded, this is what I'm expecting you to be at by the time these enemies come out. Level 5, been through this already. Level 6, increasing the short circuit chance, duration, and granting you the ability to stun elite. That's pretty crazy. Short circuit chance is going up from 40 to 60. I forgot to mention it before. It went from 20 to 40, so it just increases by 20. Duration, which hasn't been buffed yet, goes up from 3 to 5. That's pretty good. It's great because short circuit is essentially a immobilizer, where it stuns your opponent briefly, which gives you a chance to regenerate if you have, or location specific, if it's raining or if you're in the water. It gives you the opportunity to regenerate health. You can just stun a bunch of mobs. Striking them and stunning them, that gives you just a brief moment to just regenerate some health or get your abilities off cooldown. That's another thing, because abilities are also pretty powerful. Again, level 6, my idea is to make level 6 extra enticing for the player. So that way they pick level 6 on one element rather than picking it on another. We'll see about that. Level 7 grants health boost if you are not in a heated or extreme heated biome. Now this is fixed at +5 health. Fire grants a percentage of health, and I think the max is 40%. While water just grants just an outright increase. This isn't much, and it's less than what fire gives at max, but I feel like this is okay. And you'll also notice this is an inverse condition, or location. So if you are not in the heated or extreme heated, so if you see fire and there's like smoke and particle and sparks and everything flying around, you're not getting the health boost because it's hot and you're dehydrated, Bob. Anyway. Level 8. Again. Hasn't changed. Level 9. The health regeneration while in water or rain increases. This last bit in rain makes sense, but I'm trying to think of how many cases the player's actually going to be 1 outdoors and 2 in the rain. We'll have to balance that pretty well. I imagine this is going to be used in underwater levels more frequently than in rainy levels. But I don't know, we can get clever. Regeneration 2, whoops. Regeneration 2 is pretty broken, so it might be too much to give the player. I might have to reduce that, if not remove it entirely. I need to test it in game, but we'll see. Maybe if the enemies just hit you like a truck, then maybe it'll be a necessity. Who knows? And then level 10 increases the chance to short circuit, the short circuit duration, your health boost, and the short circuit can now stun supreme mechanical mobs. So the supreme are obviously the most powerful out of all of the enemies in the game. They're the highest they're the highest enemy tier. They have a health bonus of times 10 as opposed to the basic enemies. So they're pretty beefy, they're pretty tough, they do a lot of damage. Being able to stun them is pretty insane, and you don't really encounter too many of them until like you're around this kind of area on all elements. So this is most definitely late game. Taking level 10 early, you're not going to get the most out of this because Supreme don't come out until late game. So yeah. Short circuit chance goes from 60 to 80. It's not 100% uptime, and the reason for that is because it's a stun, which is pretty useful. It's much more useful than just being on fire, in my opinion. So, duration 5 to 8. That's same as fire. The health boost goes from +5 to now +10, so you get, I think at max, you'll have 30 health. 30 health. I just butchered that like a moron. You'll have 30 HP to work with. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I think this is a lot better than what it used to be, because it used to be like... It used to be kind of similar, but again, you were expected to be using this location specific, and I wanted these elemental powers to be structured so that way you do get bonus perks based on your location, so you're encouraged to use your powers when I want you to use your powers, basically. But at the same time, it's very much still usable outside of those areas, and that's what I wanted. I wanted these to be more useful outside of their areas. Not ice, though. Ice is very specific. Speaking of, ice only takes place, or takes effect, if you're using water in a cold biome. Or I guess extreme cold as well. Grants cold immunity by default. Ignore the weakness. I'm thinking I'm gonna end up removing the weakness. Actually, never mind. I need the weakness for late game enemies. In which case I need to add it here. Earth doesn't have any weaknesses. Wind doesn't have any weaknesses. It's just water and fire cancel each other out. So that's important to note. And you don't get weakness immunity in these builds. That's one thing I removed. So ice currently, in-game, is the most broken and most overpowered of the elements, by far. I think Earth follows close with the increased attack damage and resistance. Water or Ice also does that, except it also adds a damage multiplier to frozen targets. Was this ever a thing? I don't even remember if this was a thing or not. Did I even make that? Did I even put that in game? Or frozen mobs being chilled, or chilled mobs are frozen for longer? Did I even add that? I don't remember adding that. But that's cool. Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're removing it entirely. Chilled is just being simplified to just granting slowness now. Before, chilled would slow the mobs and give you a damage multiplier, which that's obviously very OP. And it used to be the case where that damage multiplier would stack with being frozen, which you can kind of tell why Ice was the most broken, overpowered. But anyway. Yeah, all attacks grant slowness to mobs. This is 100% uptime, by the way. But the catch being that water needs to be in the cold biome in order for this to take effect, so you don't have it whenever you want. You have it in biome specific, which is honestly something I can work with. It definitely encourages you to use Ice in the cold zones, I would say. And it grants a chance to freeze mobs for 1 second. And that chance, as you may have guessed, is 20%. Just like fire, just like water. The ability to freeze mobs outright is something that was only given to abilities for version 1. Version 2, you can freeze mobs 100% reliably with abilities. Some abilities that can freeze mobs, like Explode, Shot Punt, Spin, I think does it as well. But now we're granting a freeze chance just in general. And I think you could probably guess why freeze chance is great, because there's a damage multiplier on freeze chance at level 4, which is pretty good. Speaking of damage, resistance comes along for level 2. +1 resistance. That's pretty good. That's really good, actually. When does Earth get resistance? Earth doesn't get resistance until level 4, while Ice has it at level 2. Just so you guys are aware, if you take 1 level in water, you are simultaneously taking 1 level in Ice. Both water and Ice, although separate, are not tracked separately by the mod. So their abilities are tracked separately, but their actual experience points aren't. Your water experience directly affects your Ice experience as well, so they are not separate from each other. So you'll be able, so as you level up water, you're leveling up Ice as well, which, mathematically speaking, makes it so water is your best investment for an elemental experience point. But yeah, it's fun. So, level 2, damage reduction. Abilities. Increased damage to frozen mobs. Level 6, the slowness to attack mobs is increased. Chance to freeze mobs, and frozen duration. So the slowness applied to targets increases, so they're extra slow now. Freeze chance goes up to 35%, which is not bad. And the duration goes up to 5 seconds as well. That's just overall better for 1, if you're targeting frozen mobs, and 2, if you just want to stun them and run. The longer duration makes it just a little bit extra nice. So you get a choice there. You can either run away when your target freezes, or you can take the opportunity to get extra damage in. So there's 2 use cases. Speaking of extra damage, level 7, increased damage to frozen mobs. It's pretty good. It goes from... oh. I did not add that. So it goes from 1.25 to 1.5. That's normal Minecraft crit, FYI. Is 1.25 or 1.5 damage multiplier. So that's pretty good. Increases resistance from 1 to 2. That's base, by the way. That's 100% uptime. And this is ridiculously overpowered because tier 3 Fortify, which is an ability that adds resistance. Tier 3 adds +2 as well. So that means while Fortify is up, that is plus 80% damage reduction, which basically makes you invincible. I might have to nerf that, but I like the idea of it. It's not a permanent buff, it's just a temporary bonus with a cooldown. But it is pretty powerful. Level 10. Increased chance to freeze mobs. Your frozen duration goes up. Damage to frozen mobs also goes up. So, freeze chance goes up to 50. Again, it's not 100% because it's overpowered. Because it acts as a stun as well. Same reason why Short Circuit isn't 100% either. This one's less because arguably freezing a mob is more valuable because they can't attack, they can't move at all, so it's a much better stun. Duration 8 seconds, and then the damage multiplier goes up to ×2. Another reason why your freeze chance isn't 100% uptime is because your damage multiplier is up. Can't remember. Yeah, fire is the exact same thing, but well, fire actually does have 100%. Maybe I should rework that. Freeze is a hard freeze. Maybe I should buff this to 80% chance. Just match it with ice. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And that brings us lastly to wind. Elemental power protects you from smoke and space hazards. Spoilers, we're going to space in this map. Here's an interesting thing. This is the only element outside of Earth that has a curse applied to it. Wind negates any and all critical hit chance. It doesn't matter if your tool or weapon or whatever it is that you're using has 100% crit chance. Wind just outright disables critical hit chance entirely. Meaning that you don't have any crits. And the idea behind this is that wind is a very light element. It's not going to have a lot of damage. And I kind of reflected that with version 1, where you only get +2 damage, attack damage, at level 7 of all things. And then it goes up to 4 and then to 6 immediately after. Which, I guess if you look at it that way, wind is just as powerful as the other elements, but it just gets powerful later than most of the other elements. This time around, negative critical hit chance is... not really sure how big of a deal it is, but I imagine it's a pretty big deal. It means no extra damage on attacks. What you have on your weapon is what you have. Now again, Wind's build isn't designed to be used 100% of the time. It's only designed to be used mainly as a mobility thing. And it's designed mainly to be used by speedrunners, I imagine. I want Wind to be like the speedrunner build. So it's like, you're not very strong, but you can move fast. If your objective is to get from point A to point B, Wind is your go-to. But if your objective is defeat all the enemies in a closed and tight space, maybe pick one of the other ones. especially if it's hot or cold. So wind grants chance to knock back mobs on attack. 25% chance, +1 attack knockback. Pretty good. Element grants movement speeds and increased step height. +1 speed, plus 0.5 step height. That's enough to walk up a full block. And originally I wanted this to be a level 6 thing, but I feel like speedrunners are going to want this early, so it's not going to be useful until level 6. And that's quite the investment just for the ability to step up blocks. So it's down here at level 2. Level 3, abilities. One thing I do want to do differently with abilities on Wind is across the board, I want Wind to have less damage abilities, but lower ability cooldowns on Wind. So there's a buff to using Wind. You get less damage, but you can use more abilities like more frequently, which is really nice. Here is where Wind really shines. Wind does not do great at offensive, but it does do great at mobility and defense. Grants a small chance to dodge taking damage. I was debating about this one for a long time, but I figured I'd throw it in here because it's pretty clutch. If you're about to get smacked by a boss that does like 1,000,000 damage, imagine the MLG plays if this triggers at that moment. It's a 10% chance, which isn't a lot, but that's 1 in 10 hits. It's still pretty good defense. That's 100% damage reduction on random. And I think that would absolutely be clutch. It makes it impractical entirely, but I think that would just be clutch. It's not really useful for strategies because it's RNG and it's unreliable. But if you're speedrunning and you're just sprinting through hordes of enemies, it helps a little bit. Alright, level 5. Breeze through that one. Grants increased knockback chance, attack knockback, and movement speed. That's level 6. That's pretty good. Knockback chance goes up to 50%, which is every other hit, basically. Knockback gets increased, and then your speed goes up by 1, which is really good for mobility. Increased dodge chance goes up to plus 15%. Now, I don't think there's going to be any other tool, item, anything that will grant increased dodge chance, so this will kind of be hard-coded. But it'll be pretty useful. Level 9 grants increased knockback chance, attack knockback, and adds reach. So, as I tested with water, reach is pretty broken. So, having reach is pretty nice, and I feel like it fits wind a little bit better than it fits water. Knockback chance goes up to 75%. Knockback goes up to 2. That gets absolutely crazy and is hilarious to watch mobs go flying. And then the increased entity reach. That's pretty good. I'm debating if this should also apply to blocks, because I do have the ability to keep those separate. Your entity hit reach, which is your striking range, and your block placing limit, or block interaction limit. Those are 2 separate things, which I could play around with both of them. I could make it so they're equal. Might make things interesting, might make some puzzle sections a little bit more interesting. It's like, oh, there's a button over there. I can't reach it. You have to switch to wind to utilize it. Spoilers, there will be puzzle levels. Well, kind of. It's complicated. Puzzle dungeons, per se. And then level Chen. Level Chen. Oh yes, Master Chen. Level 10. Grants increased movement speed. Your step height goes up, which is ridiculous. And your dodge chance goes up as well. Speed goes up to speed 3, which That might be too much. Speed 2 is pretty nuts as it is. Speed 3, goodness me, if we're making parkour sections and the jumps are close to each other and you have level 10 wind active for whatever the reason, Speed 3 might be an actually devastating burden that you have to tolerate or adjust around. So it might be annoying, but I figured I'd throw it in here because the increased movement speed is nice. It is Wind's kind of main mechanic, is just moving faster. Step height goes from... That should be a plus. Finding all sorts of typos. Goes from plus 0.5, which is a full block, to plus 1, which is a fence gate or a wall. As far as hitbox, that's a block and a half. Because the default player value is 0.06. So that allows you to go up slabs. So plus 1 will allow you to go up a full block on top of the slab, which is pretty cool. And then dodge chance at most is 20%. 20% I don't think is horrible. I think it's actually really good. I think it's really nice. It's not super broken, it's not super OP. It gives you really nice... I can't think straight. It gives you really nice defense while still fitting in theme with the element. Because with Earth, you're just tanking everything. But with Wind, like, you're not tanking anything. You're not taking anything. You're dodging it. So I feel like just the dodge chance is really nice. So that is the current elemental power rework. These are all the abilities. The abilities themselves haven't changed, but I would like to fix that in the future. So, I spent the past hour rambling around on the proposed version 2 of all of the elemental powers. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about these changes. Obviously, I haven't gotten them in game yet. We're going to be getting to that soon. We'll start with fire and work our way down. Actually, we'll start with this and work our way down. We will start with this because I feel like this is important. This is what I want this to be implemented first. So we'll get to that. Anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break, and then we'll jump into MCreator and start working on these things. We'll get them in game. Alright, be right back. I just realized my Gone Camping screen still has my old channel username on it. Cool, Sam. I just realized that. That's probably not good. I should probably change that soon. Anyway, I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, 1 million people in chat? What the heck? That's insane. Thank you guys for all the likes and kind comments, and I'm being I'm being sarcastic. It's fine. I'm just trying to be funny. I'm crying through the pain. Speaking of, I've had a pretty rough day today. I hope you guys are having a good day today. Because I've had a pretty rough day today. It was an overall good day, or I can't speak. It was objectively a good day. It was needed to happen, but it was bittersweet or something. I don't know where I'm going with this. I've had a day, and I'm glad to be here in stream with you guys. And by you guys, I mean 0 concurrent viewers. That's sad. I'm talking to myself again. Anyway, let's get started. I closed my document down. I should really not have closed down my document. Because I need to keep that on the side. Alright. Oh, ignore these. I was kind of just testing some skyboxes, and this doesn't really work as well as I was hoping. One thing I would like to check, though. Properties. Dang it, that's a shame. Maybe luminosity has to be, but nah. Actually, maybe luminosity is what I need. Maybe luminosity. No, because then it's gonna... You know what? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. These are only gonna be used during the daytime anyway, so they're supposed to go off like maybe. We'll test these later, or when we get in. Alright, so we've got 2 things that we need to handle right now. One, we need to set a critical hit chance. We need to determine... what sort of benefits critical hit is going to do. Obviously damage multiplier, but if you're just hitting the mob normally, or if you're actually like properly initiating a crit, if there should be any perks to it. Let me think here. How do I want to do this? Because items need to be able to have critical hits initiated. So let's grab a procedure. Critical hit. Yes. So this needs to be preset to player deals critical hit. And then logic parameter is critical hit. Needs to be false. This is how we disable. This is how we disable critical hits. Let's see if I can get number dependency, damage multiplier. Advanced. And then that's damage multiplier. So 1.2. It needs to be plus. Dang it, I didn't think this through. I need to save it here. And then we need some variables. Variables. A new variable. Critical hit chance. This is going to be a number. And it needs to be player lifetime, I think? Because if I make it player persistent, then if they pick up an item and it's got super high critical hit, but then they die and they lose that item, then they're stuck. If it doesn't reset, I think player lifetime is probably the best. We can always change it later. Critical hit chance, by default, is 0. Now we need critic. Am I spelling this right? Critical hit damage multiplier. Am I spelling that right? I think so. No, I did not. Multiplier. This is also going to be a number. And it's also going to be player lifetime. Both of those by default. Nope, critical hit chance is 0 by default. This by default. 1.2. Perfect. So that's 1.2 by default. If we go into this procedure, nope, it should be 0. It should be 0. That will do nicely. Minecraft components, custom variables, get number, critical hit damage multiplier. So that is how we add damage multipliers to it. So 1.2 is going to be the damage multiplier. Now, critical hit chance is going to be a little bit more tricky, I imagine, but let's see. Let's get the global variable first. Critical hit chance for event target entity. Can I flow control this? Can I logic this? Can I math this? Random integer between minimum of what, 0? And maximum of get number percentage critical hit chance. We need this to no, we need to set this to a variable. Local variable. That is the wrong kind of variable. Number. Let's see. Custom variables. Local. So when the player deals a critical hit, it will set the critical hit chance to random between 0 and the critical hit chance. Dang it, we need that as a percentage. MCreator is doing this weird thing again. Hey, dog. He's cute. I got Max in my room. I must detour everything, and anything and everything must be detoured for the sake of the dog. He is a good boy. I'm just kidding, he's not that special. But I do love him much. He's a good boy. I'll just let him be now. Alright. How do I do this? let me look at, okay, here we go. Do the 70% chance. Thank you, MCreator community. Random number ranges between 0 and 1. If true, then run. What is the do in this section? So that's between 0 and 1. Is that right? That means our critical hit chance needs to be factored as a decimal place, because 1 is 100%. Maybe we don't need this. I think this is all that's needed for critical hit chance. And then when we do items and such, actually, this is going to be a lot more complicated than just this, because we've got Earth increasing, we've got different weapons increasing. Is there a smart thing that we can do with weapons? Hold on. Wait, hold on. What are the dependencies? Source and... Is vanilla a critical hit? Is that a thing that we can... No. Can we get item the player is using? Data. Get items using. Does this work? Let me just test. Oh, it's dumb. Does that work? I need to get custom data number tag. No warnings or errors. Is it this easy? Surely not. And also, what is data tag? I don't know what data tag is. I'm probably just gonna end up using NBT data because I think I can set that. Custom number tag. Get custom number NBT tag. Data number tag. What is that at the bottom? I'll get fuel powered. Custom data number tag. And then percentage. Let me see if I can't find that in like a normal item. Block states. No, it's not gonna be a block. This is a normal item, right? Item states. Man, this is one thing I wish MCreator did a little bit better. Was making it so that way you can like see these kinds of things. Because like, where in the heck is data tag? How do I configure this? Just run this. Can I set the item's data tag? I can. Okay. So basically on obtain I have to set a custom data tag. What should we call this? So what is this? Crit chance? So crit chance of, get custom data tag of crit chance of item the player is using. The damage, that's damage multiplier. Critical hit chance. Let's math this together. So the player's default critical hit chance, which is modified via the element of earth, and then the critical hit chance on the tool that it's using, added together, should give us a good idea on the critical hit chance of said object. So this is I think this is the easy way to do it. I just have to make sure that, so visual, special information, critical hit chance 0, plus 0%. So Rego Sword here, which is currently the only weapon in the game, plus 0% critical hit chance. One X. Crit chance 0%. Crit damage 1%. 1x. So even if you do crit, actually, what is the player's default crit? Edit. Plus 0. Critical hit damage multiplier. So yeah, it's not a very good weapon. It doesn't have any extra. You do get, by default, 1.2x critical damage. But nothing other than that. One tool in inventory. So item is crafted or smelted. What about obtained, like from creative mode? Is that a thing that we can, or given by a command? Does that include? Probably not. Tools in hand? Maybe? I just don't want this to be like each tick. Yeah, I just don't want this to be like each tick. When right click, when living entity is hit with tool. There's no real way to test, is there? If you know what, let's try it. Let's make something completely unhinged. Add potion effect. Glowing. Level 1 for 60 ticks to event target entity. Let's just see if this works, and if so, then we have A good means of executing critical hit chance. Let's just test this to see if this works. I'm assuming it's not gonna work. But we'll see. If this means that, like, oh, when the player obtains this item for the first time, this happens. I also took the opportunity during the break to get some water, which stay hydrated. It's really nice. Very pleasant. Very pleasant experience. Drinking water. Neoforge loading. I think I'm just gonna do that. Just for testing purposes. And not actually use full screen. Hi placeholder, how are you doing? Rego sword. Crit chance plus 0%. Crit damage plus 0. Let's get... Dang it, it didn't work. Oh, that's another thing I've added. I had coins. I forgot about these. I meant to show them off, not in the last stream, because these are fairly new. I meant to post these on, the community tab. I made coins. They don't do anything, you can walk right through them. But, if you're in adventure mode, you can pick them up. You can't place them down, but you can pick them up. And they craft into the previous tier, which I think is really cool. 1 diamond coin, when you do the math, is a stack of copper. It's pretty cool. So they kind of work like that. They're pretty cool. They have a nice animation. That's disappointing. Anyway, let's just try. What happens when I... Wow, that's painful. Yeah, so we didn't get any crits there, because our critical hit chance is 0. But if I go into Rego Sword, so this doesn't work. I need a way to add this NBT. Can I check special information by any chance? Anyway. So that doesn't work. Cancel. We'll wait until after I save this. Living entity is hit with the tool. In hand, in inventory. I don't know how to apply this in a meaningful way. Because, like, how do I add... I'm sure it doesn't matter if it's set to an inventory, but I don't want that to be, like, constantly running, especially if you have multiple tools in your inventory. I don't want it to just, like, be constantly updating. I would like it so that way it's, like, when you first acquire the item, is that something I can do on trigger? Using it, swings it, dropped by, finishes in hand, right click, smelted. No, it's not something I can do with items either. So it's not just tools. Conditional drop conditions. What does this mean? Oh, it's harvesting blocks. Okay, we're not dealing with harvesting, so. I don't know how to do this without it being in inventory. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but it's a small thing that I would like to... Maybe when it swings, but you're going to be swinging a lot. One tool in hand. I think we're just gonna... I just have to bite the bullet. Actions. Set custom data tag to crit chance, right? It's crit chance. Crit chance. That's the wrong procedure. That's entity. So by default, that's 0. So it's your critical hit chance plus the crit chance of the tool that you're using, which is 0. I have to remember these need to be decimal places, otherwise we're gonna run into problems. So what I'm gonna do is 0.05 on this. That's not what it actually is, but I just want to make sure that this is actually working. So in theory, that gives us 50% crit chance, which is what I would like to test. It's cool. Let's just go for it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Let's see. I think this is gonna be interesting to see if this works. Okay, I need to turn full screen off, just real quick. Create test world, interesting. Video settings, full screen. Perfect. I would like to keep that off. I doubt it will stay off, but you know, we'll just see. All right, so now. We got no crits there. None. Not a single one. That makes me think that, dang it, it's not easy. Alright, let's see. This if-else block is the most pointless thing that I've ever seen. I don't know if it's just bugged or if it's just doesn't work the way that I think it does. I have no idea. So we're gonna do logic. So it will set if logic equals true. Actually, no. That's a lot simpler. If we do that, by default, it'll set it to false, and then if this runs, it'll set it to true. If not, it'll already be at false. So, I think this is just all that we need. And then set logic false, so to whatever the logic actually is. So this should do the trick. It's possible because the critical hit chance variable is 0. We'll have to adjust that. That should work though. We can also delete that. This should work now. I just have to remember on every weapon that we make, I need to set its data to crit chance. Because that's pretty significant. That's pretty important. Oh, it's not even running. I thought I clicked it. Or maybe I did, maybe I just skipped the input. I don't know. This should not go full screen. It did not go full screen. Yay, let's go. I'm a mad genius. No, I'm not. I pretend I am. I'm more of a sad genius. Alright. I don't think it's working. Yeah, that didn't work at all. That's very strange. Yeah, set custom data. Is that... What is that on? That's in hand. What if we did in inventory? Is that the same? Custom data number tag. Custom data number tag. Crit chance. Is it spelled the same? Crit chance of item event player is using. Plus get number critical hit chance. Maybe this logic is flipped. Maybe it needs to be that. So if that rolls higher... So if this randomizer rolls higher than what this is, then it does... No, that doesn't make any sense. Can we get the opposite to work? So if we flip that, then now we should be critting all the time. Now this should... If this procedure isn't working, then... If it's not actually getting the logic for whatever reason, then this should be critting 100% of the time. So every hit should be a crit. I'm not sure what to think about that, if this is the case. But we're gonna try it. Let's see what happens. So it should crit every single time now. It didn't seem like it was adding the damage multiplier. No, it doesn't seem like it's adding the damage multiplier. That is still taking way too long. Alright, so that's not working at all. Damage multiplier. Why isn't this working? But that should be 0, is it not? It is. This should work. I'm not sure why it's not. Let me make another variable. Crit chance number. Crit chance to the player's default crit chance plus that. Then if crit chance greater than that, set to, both those are on false, that's concerning. Set to true, and set that based off of that. Otherwise, it will be set to false. This is needlessly complicated, but I feel like it's necessary. Local random to random variable. If random variable is less than critical hit chance, set it true. If not, actually, if that's greater, set it to false, and then return that. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna cry, because this is overly complicated. This is overly complicated, I feel like. But it wasn't working before, and I don't know why. If this doesn't work, then we'll just keep trying, I guess. I would hate to throw this idea out, because that means I have to rework the element of Earth, and let me tell you, reworking Earth the first time was a nightmare. Actually, it wasn't that bad. It was a pain in the neck, though. Like a bad dream you just want to wake up from, but you're too tired to. I don't get it. It's not working at all now. It's not working at all. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. I don't understand what it's actually doing. So that time it was just returning false the whole time. Our crit chance is 50%. Is there anything we can do with that? No, not there. Is there anything with the randomizer? I don't know. I don't get it. It's like crit chance isn't even being calculated. It's like this. That's probably what it is. This probably doesn't work. Oh boy. Alright, back to the drawing board. We need to figure something else. So that means this needs to send this data. Man, what do I do about this? I got an idea. So, while the tool's in hand, I need to make sure this is actually set to tool in hand and not inventory. Tool in hand. Tool in hand. Save that. Go into this. We need to set critical hit chance to... What's the critical hit chance on this? And how do we add Earth into this? Maybe we just... Oh no. That's gonna have to be calculated here, isn't it? Set the critical hit chance to... What would this be? So if we wanted this to be 50%, it'd just be 0.05, right? 0.5? That's while it's in hand. Crit chance to... Okay. Might be able to simplify this. I'll pull this out. So... If... not, we need to make this clear. It needs to be a number. I need a number. Active element equals, what's that, 4? Which is wind. So... I need to test something real quick. Off to the side. Okay. Cool. We can remove random. I was gonna remove any and all local variables and just rethink this. So wind. Can be logic. Actually, no, it's easier as a number. Earth, because Earth buffs critical hit chance. Also a number. So what we can do is, if the active element equals 4, we need to set local wind. I need flow control. To 0. Else set it to 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, Actually, I can probably just look this up on MCreator. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like everyone else is running into this problem as well. Seems like a few other people are running into it. This is the logic I would expect if else to do. And I don't know why it doesn't. Anyway. So we need one of these. I'm gonna try to add the element of earth and the element of wind chance multiplier separately, like in the procedure, which might make things complicated. I would like to do this separately, but I feel like this is just the easiest way to do it. Earth XP is we need greater than or equal to what level is that? It's level 0. We're equal to 0. No. This isn't gonna go well. This is gonna be a nightmare. To ranch. What's the critical hit chance? What's the critical damage multiplier? Random. That's an idea. Oh boy. We can delete that. That's logic. Let's just clean up. It's overwhelming me right now. Let's clean up. We can always get it later. Yeah, I can do something clever here. To Earth, so this is 0.03, and then if it is greater than, when is the first? hit chance multiplier 1. Duplicate that. Set that to... So it's going to add on as it goes. 0.05. On top of that, if it's still... So it's going to keep going until it caps. So... 6. So if it's still greater than 6... If it's not greater than 6, then it'll stop at this point and just end. 0.0. So level 6, it goes up to 10. Oh, wait. I'm overcomplicating that. So that's 3%, that's 5%, that's 10%. I think it goes up one more. Yeah, this is 0.2. So if the active element is not 4, this is 2. That needs to be 2. So if the active element is Earth, and the Earth XP is greater than 0, it sets the Earth's contribution to 3%. If it's greater than or equal to level 1, it will increase it further. Or it will override this and set it to this. And then continue on. Check level 6, which it'll up at 10%, and then it'll continue on even further. When is this? This is 10, right? That's level 10. So if it equals 10, then it does that. That calculates the earth damage multiplier. And that's if, yeah. Active element equal 2, then set earth to 0. So what I'm gonna do here is, if wind is active, we're gonna multiply the finished result by 0. And if earth is active, it will add on this to whatever the critical hit chance is. So this is a lot of math. This is a little bit complicated, so it's gonna be hard to tell if it's actually working. Triggers. I've got to do damage multiplier as well, not just chance. Dang it. I didn't think of that. This is gonna be a huge headache, isn't it? Can I get call procedure for dependencies? Call procedure and get number return value. I could do this instead. Can I return multiple different things? Flip draw. I can only return one number per procedure. Or can I? What is this setting? Dependency. Oh, interesting. So what's dependencies? Command dependencies? No, those are parameters. Number dependency. I'm trying to think of how this works. I'm not really sure how that works, so we'll just leave it alone. But I could call upon this procedure. I could call upon a separate procedure, probably under Earth, and get a damage multiplier from there, and just add it on. I'm not really sure. Okay, let's just set all of this in a flow block and collapse it. And just keep that off to the side. We'll save onto that for later. Let's just see if we can't even get a critical hit chance working at all, because I'm pretty sure we can. Get number. Critical hit chance of target entity. I forget how the procedure has it. Let's just check real quick. I broke it apart. Cool. Okay, it's that way. Alright. I doubt this will work. Oh. And then that should work. So now if we go into variables, set our critical hit chance to 0.5. And then save out of that. Yep. So that gives us 50%. I just given myself 50% just for tests. Just for testing. We're not bothering with items or tools just right now. Let's just even just test to see if this works, because I'm pretty sure, like, logic tells me this works. And that we can get this to work, but I'm not sure. I also realize it's 9 o'clock where I am right now, and I should probably get ready for start getting ready for bed, because I do have work tomorrow. And it's also very late. Alright. Alright, so this actually does work. Wait, so that actually does work. We can delete that. This on its own works. So that's roughly 50%. We don't have a damage multiplier yet, but this works. Boy, I don't know what else to do with this. But this works, so now what we need to do is make it so that way everything else just kind of, all that math is done off the scenes, basically like a separate procedure like this. Massive thing. Which I don't know what to think about that or what to do with it, but I suppose that's an issue for another day. I'm gonna end it here. We have it. We have a critical hit chance working. We just need a way to configure it using the items that you're using and the elemental powers, which I imagine with the elemental powers it'll be easy because we can just set a contribution to that. We could actually make it so that way the sword... No, that's not gonna work. The sword and the elemental powers need to pool their stats to a separate procedure which is running that will then update your critical hit chance. Perhaps the sword could pool to the element of earth. And then that would just be calculated as your elemental power, your powers are active. Because I don't want to do on player tick update. Do we actually have that? That's player responds. Can I filter by procedures real quick? That's projectiles. Features. As critical hit, player on tick update. So I do have an on tick update. This is for companions, which companions needs a rework. Spoilers. I need to rework companions. There's a lot of things that just I would like to rework and simplify and make less complicated, but we'll see. We'll go from there. Anyway, it's late. I need to get ready for bed. I appreciate those who came out and said hi, which was no one, but appreciate those who popped in and just to see what was going on. I appreciate that. Sorry it wasn't of any interest to you, but hey, this is kind of what I do on this channel. This is not very interesting stuff. The end result I am hoping will be worth it, but yeah, we'll see. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready for bed. I'm very tired.